c'est lui que tu veux scanner et tu m'oublies peu à peu. Je sais.
The steady rise of the consultancies in the marketing sector has dominated the industry's headlines this year. These are the companies historically based in management and IT that are creeping into client pitches, buying out agencies, and now flying out to Cannes to flex their muscles on the creative stage. This year's festival may not have been dominated by these businesses, but there was no denying their presence. At a time when the rest of the industry has begun to question the value of Cannes Lions, the consultancies clearly needed to be there showing face.
Accenture has sponsored Cannes Lions for the last 2 years, and this year is very different because we acquired a number of creative agencies, and we are fully expected to actually win something and make our presence felt.
It's important for us to be here and to be able to really capture the spirit of modern creativity and the way it affects our business.
I think first and foremost, in our particular case, it's to tell people about our new positioning, our new relaunch of our brand, our new expression of that brand. So that was a big part of our mission this year, is to sort of get that out.
Part of the reason I'm here is, as ever, to be infused by the whole creative industry. Because I think the more people come to Cannes, the more they're excited about what's possible. So, frankly, next year I'd like to be winning some awards, not just taking part in them.
This year, the Carlton Terrace was almost humid from veteran Cannes goers observing how much the festival has changed. First came the networks, then the tech giants, and now the consultancies. But the event's managing director believes it to be his duty to mirror the changes happening in the industry as a whole.
We are here making sure that we reflect what the industry needs. So we have the conscious responsibility of taking on this heritage of more than 64 years. So that it's our obligation to respond to the industry needs. We have to be transforming ourselves because of this responsibility of mirroring and reflecting the changes that are happening in the industry.
Accenture and Co were also in Cannes to prove that data-driven companies can be creative. They were also out to differentiate themselves from not only the heritage advertising businesses, but from one another. The problem, they might find, is they all sound, well, very similar.
While we don't do explicitly creative work per se, certainly we are very involved with helping many brands create their customer experience.
So our work is really about bringing marketing into brand experience.
They're obviously hell-bent on trying to round out this customer experience.
The world has needed something more than just advertising, and it's about experience.
In fact, IBM was the only consultancy we interviewed that didn't mention the E word.
The IBM brand is about change, the relentless progress and process of change. And so for us, IX is sort of the point of the spear in driving that change for our clients, aimed specifically at marketing officers and digital officers. We think that's unique. We don't think our competition, either in legacy agency constructs, holding company constructs, or on the consulting side, has that same kind of legacy, scale, and focus.
Whether or not they've quite nailed those unique selling points, there's no denying these companies are taking substantial bites out of the marketing industry pie. The skepticism from the old guard towards their creative credentials and their right to even be in Cannes was palpable though. Did they feel it too?
Warmly, but cautiously, I guess, would be my summary on how we've been greeted.
There's a lot of anxiety in industry disruption, and you look at it in every single industry out there, it's uncomfortable. The world is changing really fast. Things are incredibly dynamic. So it's much less about simply consultancies entering a new business as a force, but the entire industry itself is being reshaped.
Cannes has changed a lot. If I go back to the very first time I came here, it was very much a pure creative industry, creative community actually. Even in those days, there weren't many people other than the creative community in here. And it has changed, and the platforms came in, and yes, there's this conversation about consultancies are here. I personally think it's a good thing. If you look at the industry, It's a celebration of creativity, and I think the Cannes organisers have done very well to preserve that status, that ultimately it's about the creativity.
I don't recall who, and I probably wouldn't mention anyway, but one of the, holding company founders or CEOs sort of went on this jag about how Cannes not Cannes anymore, and we need a new conference for creativity, and it's And his point was basically like, you have all these tech companies, you have all, and it's not the same. And it's true, it's not the same. But I think that's good.
Accenture-owned Karmarama unsurprisingly had the most sensible advice of all for creative agencies panicking about a consultancy-induced apocalypse. Just go with it.
If you're a creative agency, the big problem is you can end up working in a channel. Somebody says, I want a print ad or a TV ad, and this is the brief, and you kind of go, well, hold on a minute, because that's not going to solve your problem. And often creative minds grapple with wanting to get to the bigger challenges the clients are facing, but they're not empowered or allowed in. And to be honest, personally, that's what has frustrated me for years. So what I do like about working with companies like Accenture, and I'm sure it's the same for all of them, is you meet very senior clients with very big opportunities and problems, and they let you in the room. And all we've wanted as creatives is to get to the top table again.
We're here, we're feared, get over it. That seems to be the prevailing attitude from the consultancies. We can't be sure how exactly the industry will change over the next year, but we do know that the landscape of CAM will look very different in 2018.
Look, we welcome any client that ultimately embraces what the core proposition of Cannes Lion is. So if the consultancies are observing more and more why Cannes Lion is so relevant, fantastic. Take the Snap journey. You see, I'm very proud of the journey that Snap has built with us. The validation of their business model was here in Cannes prior to their IPO. It was a very powerful statement, suggesting that it was here that marketers were able to really recognize this journey that they have been through, that we admire so much. And this is valid for any organization that ultimately relates with us. And asking the agency side, it's the same thing, because the more and more these organizations, they kind of showcase what the true essence of their value proposition is, the more powerful it is for themselves. And so we truly, we embrace what is happening in the industry, and the shifts that are happening in the industry are driven by new agents, and we have to embrace this.